It takes a village to raise a child, but what are some of those positive ripple effects after that child is raised? In this special episode, we have a conversation with community development advocate Mr. Myrico Morris, and he shares some insight on community activism and advocacy. This is One on One. I'm Mishran Robinson. Good evening to you all across Barbados. This evening we're having a conversation with Mr. Myrico Morris, known within the realm of youth development, youth capacity building, and also contributing to the youth climate space as well. Myrico, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. You're involved heavily where community development is concerned, and on behalf of our viewers, I'm curious to know what led to this particular path in terms of wanting to work with Barbadian youth across the nation where climate advocacy may be concerned, where capacity building may be concerned. Why was it important for you to take up this particular role?
Well, when I was in my mid-teens, I realized that there was a deficit in the space where a lot of people do not focus too much on climate. They don't focus too much on the environment. They don't focus on what will happen to Barbados in the next few years. And even though there were groups present, there was just some work being done in silos. So I then told myself, you know what, to be able to get us young people a little more involved, and then I must get involved. And everyone says, the youth for the future. But no one really then comes and say, we're going to create a path for the youth outside of their own silos. So I then tried to be the center of that web and pull in multiple agencies, persons within the communities from different grassroots levels, different economic levels, different social levels into one space that we can then do the work to be able to benefit Barbados as a whole.
What do you think are some of those elements, Myrico, that would have led to where you are today? You're wearing many hats, but in terms of what life was like growing up for you, that would have contributed to where we are today and what we see today in terms of your work?
There's a big need for persons, especially men, to be doing work in this space. While I was younger again, I had to sit and understand where I am as an individual, what I do as a man, and the example I set as a role model. So seeing the deficit in that space then caused me to step forward into these positions and then try to do more with everyone who was willing to do something.
You're working with many young people across Barbados, and even for you growing up, there would have been some people who would have poured into the life of Myrico Morris. What are some of the characteristics of some of the adults who poured into your life that helped to develop you into who we see today?
Characteristics along the line of tolerance, because as a young man, you're a young man, you're gonna do some ignorance, but also guidance, also being willing to listen, because you don't have all the answers, especially at that age. You don't know what to do, but then you need guidance in those spaces. So persons like John Haynes from St. John was one of those persons who was one of those guiding lights for me. And he would always sit and tell me, Myrico, this is what you do. I know what you're trying to do, but try this or try that. So having that sounding board, having those persons, old persons within the community that would be able to guide me a lot more, that really contributed to it, as along with all the tacit knowledge that they would have had, allowed me to create stepping stones to get where I am now.
You're also the awardee, along with all of the guidance from people in various facets of the community growing up. They would have also contributed to, you working towards receiving an award, something that was probably unexpected. Tell us a little bit about that award and what led to the circumstances.
The award was the FICUS Award for the Barbados Youth Awards. I've been to that award ceremony 3 years back to back, and that was the third year that we've been there, and this was representing my Welsh Baffland community group. So when they announced that we won the award, I was like, I actually looked at somebody and said, "Who win?" I thought it was a trap. But it was a very interesting experience to see that the community group that has been working for over a decade, or just about a decade at that time, has gained national recognition for the work that they've been doing to build the resilience of the community, to build the relationships of the community, and to help that community grow at the grassroots level. It was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. It was a proud moment and a kind of a sigh of relief at the same time.
What do you think is still so very important to have this community building, to have this grassroots outreach, where Barbados is concerned on a domestic level? Why is it still so important for people like yourself to be working with young people, not necessarily to be working in silos, but to, really be working as a village to make even bigger projects happen?
Well, I keep saying grassroots resilience is national capacity. So if, let's say, we are impacted by whatever hazard, whether it be a hurricane, whether it be tsunami, if you have resilience at the grassroots level where communities can bounce back quicker, it takes a lot of strain off of the national level. And when you have the layers involved, you have the grassroots level, you have the district level, and then you have the national level. And once at each level there is resilience, Barbados will bounce back extremely quickly. So this is why it's so important to have grassroots resilience, grassroots capacity, because in turn you then build the national capacity, and there are more people trained, and they can be able to take up tools, they can be able to go where they need to go, get what they need to get done, because they have the training, they have the knowledge, they have the ability. So that's where I believe Barbados really needs to maintain that momentum and going, and that can be done through creating further CDRTs, community disaster response teams, joining district emergency organizations, having schools and organizations, building some small capacities within themselves, even some teams, and really building up that capacity from that level and coming up.
What's your hope look like in terms of the young people showing an interest in community development and also climate resilience as well?
Well, the Barbados of tomorrow belongs to them. And if at this level they understand what needs to be done to be more resilient, then they'll be able to get involved. They will get the skills so that if anything is to happen here, they themselves will be able to assist those of the older generations. They themselves will be able to assist their peers. They will be also then be able to assist those who are vulnerable, whatever that vulnerability looks like, physical, mental, emotional. They are now going to be the backbone of resilience for the island. So this is where I would reach out and I would say, join the Red Cross, join the CDRTs, join the DEO, become that shield that the island needs when it comes to disaster and to build the resilience for your country, because it is yours at the end of the day.
For you, being born and raised in Barbados, how do you think this would have shaped what resilience actually looks like as well?
Well, I've experienced a few hurricanes. And Barbadians have this slight mentality still, even though it's fading out, that God is a Bajan. But we have examples of disasters in Jamaica and the Bahamas, all the hurricanes, Dorian, Maria, how they've impacted each island state. And what I've learned and grown to understand is that we have a level of complacency. However, we still need to be ready for whatever may come, whenever it may come. So growing up here, understanding the position of Bajans, the culture that we have, it then showed me, okay, there is space for development in the climate space. And we need to understand where we stand, and then we need to really take action. We really need to get trained. We need to be able to respond and not react. So that's how the continuation comes. That's how we then start to build that resilience.
Mariko, based on what you would have said, there's something interesting in terms of that plea and that call to join some of these organizations like the Barbados Red Cross and the Department of Emergency Management and so forth. Do you think if we have more Barbadians joining these organizations, it can actually help in terms of our recovery and hurricane proofing going forward?
Yes, I do. Many hands make light work. So if we rely solely on the national response, there is only so much that the national response can get done at a time.
Yeah.
However, the district response may be going, but they then also have to wait on the national response when they report in. So if at the grassroots level, you're able to sustain yourself, you're able to respond, you're able to help your community recover, you have these skills that you have gotten from being in the DEO and having the trainings, having the first aid training from the RSS, well, not the RSS, the Red Cross. You're having the first aid training through the same DEO and damage assessment and chainsaw, and you'll be able, rappel training, you'll be able to assist yourself. So the more persons you have responding because of that training, your capacity is built. But then the national capacity is no longer as strained. And then the national capacity, the national apparatus can then utilize some of those persons within the district who have already been trained, who already have the knowledge, who already have the expertise to help us recover a lot faster.
Do you feel as if the national capacity is strained right now? And how much of a plea should we be making? Should it be more urgent in terms of having younger Barbadians on board, a whole of society approach, basically?
Yeah. I think that the national capacity can do only so much. The apparatus will move, but we have an entire island to cover. So there's only so much it can do at one time. So if there's a response, let's say DEM, the Emergency Operations Center stood up, police are out, fire are out, everyone is out. However, there are only so many persons there. The DEOs are out there, only so many persons there. However, if within each household, the children know about, let's say, how to use water, how to sanitize water. The children know a little bit of first aid. They know when the ground shakes, go under the table and hold and cover. This then helps the national capacity and the national apparatus to understand that people are more trained. So now there are less people who are at risk and less vulnerable because now you've empowered them. So the national apparatus can only move so quickly. They can only do so much at a time. So a grassroots capacity now allows communities to recover a lot faster and also assist other communities in recovering from any hazard that comes around, and it reduces the risk of it being a disaster.
Important work. And I love that you mentioned that. But switching back to your personal story, how do you think your personal values and what you stand for feed back into the loop of what you're doing in terms of this capacity building, even in terms of resilience and hurricane proofing?
You know, I've always been one of those helpful children. So, you grew up with a grandmother that used to tell you don't pass nobody on the road and don't speak because you don't know if later down you can meet them. And things like that stuck with me over the years. And it's something that I then try to instill in the kids in my community, because when anything happens, you may be impacted. And the person that you refuse to speak to going down the road has the training. And they're going to look at you and be like, you're there. So my personal morals always help where you can help. Always extend a hand to someone who is in need. Not to get back, but also to be of service to people. And that is what our society has always been built on. It's been built on a village raising a child. It's been built on being your neighbor, your keeper. It's been built on looking for each other. So those foundational values are where I come from and kind of what drives what I do.
Are you concerned that we need to get back to where we were in terms of the teaching of those values, or for you in terms of what you see working with young people, do you think we are there?
I am concerned. There is a lot of work to do, and times are changing. The world today was not my mother's world. All the technology and everything. The world tomorrow won't be ours. So I think there is a lot of room for development within this space. Raising a child in a village, I think we've started to move a little bit too much to an individualistic mentality. I think we need to continue or go back to our basic values of being a community and looking out for each other and watching each other's back, because that's the only way we thrive. Success is a team sport. It is a team sport. It's not an individual thing. You need others. Yes, you may have been born alone, but you're in a world with other people.
What do you think may have contributed to this individualistic nature that we're seeing in a 2026 Barbados?
Let's see.
Are we blaming technology? Are we blaming globalization? Are we blaming exterior influences?
I think we're not blaming ourselves. And I think that's where we're going to start, because everything is a choice. If you choose to extend a hand to help, if you choose to make a phone call to say, well, Miss Brown down the road needs some assistance, can you help? You choose to step forward. You choose not to, because do nothing is also a choice. I think we are starting to be a little more individualistic internally, and not that we are pulling back because of something happened. Everyone is now focused on themselves a lot. And it's a new culture, a little paradigm shift is going on. But we need to get back to the mentality of what Barbados is, who we are as Barbadians.
Myrico, that's a perfect pivot for a short break we're going to take. But when we come back, we'll touch on your work with the Green Rising Project and also your work, with a number of young people across the island. We'll be right back with more of Mr. Myrico Morris, Youth Advocate and Capacity Development Officer as well. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
My name is Nadia Simmons. I'm the Public Relations Officer for the Autism Association of Barbados. We are a registered charity number 612. The association aims to support, educate, and advocate for families supporting someone on the spectrum and persons living with autism. We do this by hosting workshops both for parents and teachers. We also offer support to families who don't know where to turn when they get that diagnosis. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disability which can affect persons in a variety of ways. The official term is called autism spectrum disorder. The spectrum is very important. It speaks to the variety of symptoms that someone can encounter living with autism. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurological disability that can affect how persons communicate, learn, and behave. Persons are diagnosed between the age of 2 and 4, and that can present with a variety of symptoms. Hand flapping, toe walking, nonverbal or delayed speech, repetitive behavior such as lining up toys, spinning wheels on a toy. They can also be very sensitive to light and sound. Give us a call at 233-6221. Email us at autisminbarbados@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at autisminbarbados.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Danielle Reed-Mulilo and I'm a general physician. Today we're going to have a casual talk about chlamydia and gonorrhea. Chlamydia and gonorrhea are both curable STDs and are spread by oral, vaginal, and anal sex. Both can cause discharges from infective orifices or no symptoms at all. Discharges can be yellow, green, or bloody. Both are easily treated with antibiotics by your doctor. If left untreated, they can cause infertility, so use protection and get tested today.
Welcome back to this edition of One on One. We're having a conversation with community leader and youth advocate, Mr. Myrico Morris. Myrico, we promised our viewers to touch on some of these other hats that you're wearing, which involves the Green Rising Project. What is the Green Rising Project?
Well, Green Rising is a UNICEF-funded Generation Unlimited-led project. It is a global project. It seeks to impact 5,000 youth in the areas of the green entrepreneurship, capacity building, and also climate awareness. So that's the global Green Rising. Our Prime Minister sits as global chair, and Green Rising Barbados is the only Green Rising within Latin America and the Caribbean. So we're basically a flagship for what Green Rising is. And also our Prime Minister is the global chair. So we have a very big task on our hand. And this is also a mandate for us now to impact 5,000 youth in these same areas of blue-green entrepreneurship, climate awareness and advocacy, and also community-led resilience projects. So over the next year and a half or so, we will be engaging with youth groups, we'll be engaging with churches, we'll be engaging with schools, we'll be engaging with communities, we'll be engaging with each and every youth-led organization in the island to develop their awareness and also to help them with a lot of their projects, which they would like to implement and make sure that they have a measure of awareness and consistency in this space.
How do you feel about the progress that you've been making so far?
So far, it's been interesting, and I think the momentum has started. We are currently engaging with multiple organizations, different stakeholders, different groups, and it is now really building out. Recently, we had a eco ride bus trail. We took 57 youth to 3 conservation sites in and around the island. We went first to Graham Hall, where they learned about biodiversity protection. We took them then to Folkestone, where they then learned about marine conservation and then bees recycling for waste management. And the interest is there. The interest was unexpected. They asked a lot of questions. And luckily, we had the specialists there that were able to answer them. But it's really got some momentum. And I'm surprised at some of the emails that I read, because everyone is now saying, well, we want to be a part of this. How can we get on board, and how can we help?
With where you're positioned right now in the work that you're doing, do you see Barbados as maybe setting the stage or taking the lead? We've seen the work of the Prime Minister on the international stage, but do you see Barbados as kind of taking the lead for the rest of the Caribbean in terms of your work and inspiring other young people outside of Barbados to come along in terms of this climate interest?
Yes. And you've seen the work that the Prime Minister has been doing, and she has been championing the climate change cause globally. Here in Barbados, we are actually going to have in June a big event, a climate dash. It's going to be a 5K run, and then we're going to have an eco village there with various stakeholders that are going to be a part of that to give youth some hands-on experience and also to get some ideas. And being the champion of this, we're developing a concept called the Brain Bank. And this Brain Bank is going to be what stores a lot of the inputs, a lot of the information. Because what we found is that there are several think tanks going on in silos. And after the think tanks, a lot of the information is either shelved or lost. So we're going think tank to Brain Bank, and we're going to then be creating a space where policy ideas can be given, where economic ideas can be given, legislative ideas can be given by youth throughout the 166 square miles of Barbados, from 10 years old, even under, all the way up. So our mandate is 10 to 29. But you will also get ideas coming from other people outside of that age grouping. So we are really working towards setting the bar extremely high for the rest of the Caribbean or any other island who decides to take it up.
And what is important to set this bar high? How are you seeking to break down some of the language of the technocrats to feed into the everyday understanding for ordinary Bajans?
And that is why we're targeting the youth-led groups, because the technocrats may be there, but the youth are the persons who need to be able to take up these ideas and be able to shape the policy for their new world that's coming. So we're going to be able to break it down for them in the simplest terms. We are having workshops, we are having lectures, we're having the same think tanks to Brain Bank series, and helping them to understand how they can be a part of it, what this means, what it doesn't mean for them as young Barbadians, looking at what is going on throughout the region, how Beryl affected us, how Beryl affected the region, and really and truly bringing it to a grassroots level so they can then start to think about what they want their Barbados to look like from their level. Then we go up and we partner with the University of the West Indies, and we partner with other groups on that, of the academic groups. And those will then continue to assist us to help break down all of that technical jargon, because you don't want anyone to come and tell you about some big words that you have no clue about and just going to lecture you at it. The approach is different. The approach is youth-led. The approach is, I want to involve you in what we're doing, and I'm not going to tell you what I want you to do. You're going to tell me where you think the issues are, and then we're going to work together to solve these issues. So it's more youth-led. It's more centered around involving the youth, creating that participatory framework, so that then we can create some environmental stewards.
What does this mean to you, being positioned where you are and keeping inspiration alive in terms of working with these young people? What does it mean to you personally to lead the charge in this particular area?
I'm elated to do it, because I used to just see everybody on TV and be like, wow, this person is doing great, but then you can't find them. So to be that person that anybody can find, anybody can get in contact with, that person that I did not have. Creating that network, creating that system that people can access and gain access to other systems, being that facilitator, being that catalyst. It means a lot to me because I did not have it when I was younger. So I know that there are more needs out there. So I'm creating that catalyst for others to know, hey, there's someone out there that they can tap into, that you don't have to think, oh God, he got all these titles, and get shaky and nah. You don't feel like that. Yeah. You just shoot a message, hey, I'm interested in this, that, and next, the third. Can you put me on to someone that is within that space, within that field? And you facilitate. We as young people want to do it. We want to help, but sometimes we don't know where to go. That's really how it goes.
Do you sometimes have these conversations? You spoke of growing up with your grandma. So do you sometimes have these conversations in terms of the important work you're doing nationally with some of the older people within your family? And how does that go in terms of their suggestions and even guidance at this age?
It's interesting. The conversation is usually very extensive. And the best part about it is when you engage, I love engaging with those in the generations above me, because that tacit knowledge helps me to mold what I'm doing going forward, and to make it a little more sturdy, because they know things that we do not know. Yeah. They've experienced things that we never thought we would have experienced.
Absolutely.
So it's like, you know that you want to build something there and someone's going to say, they got a cave up on there that ran from up where you missed it. That information, especially in disaster response, is brilliant. Because we would have never known, and then we ourselves might expose ourselves to risk.
Right.
So my older people in my community, they are my backbone. They are my go-tos. My John Haynes, Made in Norville. And I would not call that person's name. But she knows who she is. The older people with that knowledge and well, no, that's perfect. That's Sonia, yeah. That everybody has those John Hayneses in their life, but they're the people I go to. They're the people who help tell me what was, so that I can not just chart a path also, but also to protect my guys that are working, to protect the youth in the community, to also put structures in place that they can be able to benefit from. That tacit knowledge is everything. It's better than picking up a book, and it's better than asking Google. So those old people are my backbone. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is.
Now you made mention of all the people in these little corners within your community. Which community was this, and what was a typical day or weekend like for where you grew up?
Which community is this? Okay, my stalwarts live across St. John. So the entirety of the parish, I ask questions, especially if I'm not from that area. But I live in Welch Village, St. John, and I have a lot of old people there that are great. Hazel has a lot of knowledge that she is freely imparting whenever engaged. If I want to know anything about roadworks, I have Nigel. If I want to know anything about carpentry, masonry, there are so many stalwarts in the community that teach me. And then in turn, it drags some of my younger sirs and and they say, come and listen to this or learn from this person. And that's what it is. That's what has built me. And a normal day in that society is very interesting if you sit down at the right shop or the wrong shop.
Very interesting term to use.
You will learn everything, even if you don't want to. It will be interesting. So you learn a lot. There's so much knowledge, especially in rural Barbados. There's so much knowledge down there, and you can only grow from it.
You would say that life had a different meaning in a good way from the time you realized that it isn't just a Myrico thing, but it's all of these people within the community you've come from supporting Myrico, wanting to see the best from Myrico. I don't know about you, but sometimes during teenage years or early 20s, you could tend to feel alone or as if you need to operate as an individual, which is what we may be, seeing the young people and seeing, well, this is a very individualistic approach from our youth. But would you say life had greater meaning from the time you started realizing that all of these people are actually betting on you and banking on you and want to see better for you?
Yeah, it really did. When you get to the point to realize that you go to the same shop and the stories are going, and then somebody would say, but you see, he doing good work. He's helping. He's trying to do the best. And for me, it's not about me. I have a utilitarian mindset. I want the best for everybody around me. And that's the way I go with it. If so, someone might say, oh, Myrico's doing good work. Myrico's doing this. Myrico's doing that. Like, Myrico is tired, but I understand what you're saying. But it's really not about me in my mind. I will try to help once I can help, and I will do my best regardless of what that looks like at the time. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, but I really don't listen to it because in my mind it's not about me. It really isn't.
And what's the most significant change? You mentioned this not being about Myrico, but about what Myrico can do for country and what Myrico can do for community. But what's the greatest change you would love to see across Barbados within the next couple of years to make the island a better place?
Let's see. There's a lot of talk and no real action. And I say that in the context of everyone wants something done. Whether it be you want the road paved, or you want some trees cleared, or you want something else had to happen, I really think that I would like people to start coming together a lot more. Because regardless, I can say, I want to do nothing, or I want this, then that, then that, then that. If people come together a lot more, we get a lot more done as a collective. You help each other, you work together. You cause things to move by being together. In the next couple of years, I would like Bajans to group together a lot more, to support one another a lot more, to attack tasks and challenges as a unit and not just in silos. It can't happen. It can't happen as individuals. We kind of gotta look out for each other a lot more.
I love that point in terms of operating within community. I mean, we've done it to build other civilizations and other dynasties as well. So it would be good to see what a Barbados looks like if a lot more of the 90% start working together as one. Myrico, we're going to pause for another short commercial break. But when we come back, it would be good to touch on, your thoughts on if this is purpose alignment, as if you think what you're doing now is your purpose. We'll be right back with more of this one-on-one with Mr. Myrico Morris. Please feel free to stay with us.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Danielle Reed Melillo and I'm a general physician. Today we're going to have a casual talk about HIV and AIDS. HIV is human immunodeficiency virus and AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. When HIV is left untreated, it becomes AIDS. HIV is spread locally, mainly by sexual contact, but can also be spread by vertical transmission, which is from mother to child if untreated. The virus attacks the body's white blood cells, which makes it easier to catch infections that a person with a normal immune system would usually fight off. The virus is contracted by contact with infected bodily fluids, such as blood, semen, vaginal or rectal fluids, or breast milk from an infected person. It is not spread by hugs, sharing food, swimming pools, or toilet seats. There is PrEP and PEP available. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis and PEP is post-exposure prophylaxis. And these are pills that can be used for prevention in certain instances. HIV is treated with antiretroviral drugs, which makes you undetectable and stops the spread. So please, use protection, stop the stigma, and get tested today.
Welcome back to this edition of One-on-One. We're having a conversation with community leader and youth advocate, Mr. Myrico Morris. Myrico, we promised our viewers to touch on if you think this is purpose alignment. Do you think it is?
I have no clue.
That's honest?
I have no clue.
Does it feel right?
It feels right. So it's who I am.
Yeah.
I don't know what the plan down the road is. I don't know anything of this sort. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy fishing, and I enjoy that. Cooking, all of that in the mix. Purpose, maybe, but I have not been given the guinea stamp and said, this is your purpose, run with it.
And while you enjoy all of these different elements, what are some of the obstacles that you've been facing and how were you able to surmount these challenges to keep going, to keep inspiring and keeping people together? You mentioned working together for the betterment of the country and for the betterment of the world, but how are you seeking to overcome some of those obstacles that may pop up?
Yeah. Open your ears and close your mouth and try to understand the point of view of the other person. It's more about listening and understanding than listening to respond, because we may have different points of view, and that's the biggest challenge in everything. Varying points of view, varying cultural positions. If we sit and listen, and this is what I do, I sit and I listen and I try to understand the person's point of view, not thinking about mine. Why is this person doing this? They want to do it because of this, and they're telling you why they want to do it. Sometimes you can say, okay, I understand. And then sometimes you have to say, well, let's agree to disagree and part as friends. Because your values may not align with mine, your idea may not align with mine, or I may think whatever, you may think whatever. But having that understanding, having that respect for other persons, having respect for other persons' opinions, that's what works for me. If we can have a conversation about it, we can come to a good conclusion and we can find a solution. That's what works.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing is, from what you're saying, is the importance of humility, even though, you know, like that medium between having confidence but also being humble. Mm-hmm. Did you face that, and how did you seek to be humble even with the important work that you're doing?
You get to learn over time that it's not about you. Mm-hmm. You can have a million titles. You can have a million titles. You know, the most this and sir and all the other titles that are thrown around. That is nothing but a guinea stamp. That, who are you? Take away the titles. Who are you as an individual? Mm-hmm. That is what will steer your success. Yeah. The titles don't mean anything. Yeah. If you're approachable and solution oriented, you could have any title. You could be named king. You will get it done. If you as an individual are a little bit more wayward, you could be king, you could be queen, you could be anything, but nothing will get done. It's down to who you are as a person and what you want to do. So once you know who you are, then anything else is possible.
With some of the young people that you're working with, how are you able to translate these messages? You know, in youth, you think it's all about you. It's all about what you bring to the table. It's all about your ideas and opinions. So how do you seek to translate these messages to young people that you're working with?
Listen to them first. Mm-hmm. Listen to them first. And I think that's also one of the things we do that we can improve on. We don't listen. Because young people can tell you, I want this. But you're going to come and tell them, you need that. And then you have friction. So what I do, listen. As I said, you can have a million titles. Be willing to listen to anyone from the top of the societal bracket to the bottom. Anyone in the middle. Listen. Titles mean nothing. So the youth will tell you what they want. You can have a conversation. Come to an understanding, and you facilitate what they want. But if you know you need to steer them in a direction, then you facilitate them, but also help steer them in the direction you know they need to go in. Not that you need to know they need to go in, that they need to go in. And that's how you translate, well, we need to do more climate resilience training, and I'm going to teach you how to rappel off the top of a building. But the kid only wants to know how to do knots. So you factor that in within there, and you'll be the best knot tire that I know, and assist that rappel team.
What do our young people want? What are you hearing on the ground in terms of the mental health advocacy space, the climate change advocacy space? What do our youth really want at this time?
Money.
But how do we balance that then if you're asking them to volunteer with Red Cross or DEM? Young people want money. They want financial advancements personally. Mm-hmm. How do we balance that, even though we need volunteers, even though we need things done?
So what you then do is teach them how to monetize these skills. So,
which is where climate entrepreneurship would come in.
Climate entrepreneurship comes in. So our yachts program is Youth of the Seas. It's a boat building program that will give them the skills. They will give them the hands-on experience to build boats. You can go from that boat building workshop into the fishing industry, providing boats, owning your own marine to build boats. You can sell to fishermen. You have to create that chain for them. They want to get to money, but how do you get to money? So that's where I said the listening comes in. What do you want? Money. How do you plan to get there? I know. What do you like to do? Man, I like fishing. Okay, I have a starting point. And that is how then you can say, okay, we have an entrepreneurship program here. You can try this. You like medicine and nursing. Okay, we have the Barbados Red Cross. You can volunteer there. And you will learn first aid. You will learn early action protocols. You will learn these things. That will give you the certification free of charge. Some of them may have a cost attached to get you to where you want to get. You create that pipeline for them to get from where they are to what they want. That's what I do.
So what you're saying is volunteerism, even though we call it volunteerism, there's capacity building involved for young people. So when young people hear about the calls for volunteers, it's not just us asking them to give up their time just for slow, but there are all of these other elements you're saying.
Yes, it's like putty. It's like plastic scene. It's like a mold. It's not a mold, like something you can take that is extremely malleable. There are a lot of things that can come from it, that you can expand your network. You can learn skills that you can monetize. You can give back to your country selflessly. You can be able to help yourself and your family in the event anything happens because now you have those skills. Volunteerism helps you develop your, not even just the skills and your capacity, but also interpersonal skills. Being able to speak to people, learning effective communication. It does so much because you're tossed in the deep end with people you do not know from all different spheres of life. So volunteerism is literally a ball of clay that you can turn into anything that you want, anything at all. I volunteered at the DEO, the Red Cross. I volunteered with some small projects just to learn other skills. And you may find that you find something within there that you like. For me, it's the disaster response. It's the suiting up and going and cutting down the big trees and all the heavy lifting. It may not be necessarily lectures, but then if you're a youth and you like that also, you can find a way to monetize it. It opens your mind to your possibilities and to possibilities you never knew about. So this is why I would keep saying, volunteer with these organizations. It will take you places that you never knew you would end up. And then you can decide what part of that you want to take and develop into your own niche.
For some of these young people who may be lost in society, those who may be involved in criminal activity, those who may be from poor communities, for the lack of a better word, disenfranchised communities, what do you think is the approach that we should take to have them involved in, volunteerism and giving back? Or have we lost them for good?
I don't believe you've lost them. I think the first thing you need to do is have a conversation, that initial conversation, and listen to what they want. There's nothing more frustrating as a young person, someone walking in a suit and telling me, you need this. You don't know me. You know nothing about me. So best bet is to always have that conversation up front. Have that conversation with them. Find out what they like, find out what they don't like. Then you can be able to help to guide those youth into a space that they want to be in, or a space they may not want to be here, but that may then be a stepping stone for the space they want to be in. But you must have a conversation with them first. We don't like to do a lot of listening. We like to do a lot telling people what to do and voluntolding people, according to some of my friends. We like to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
We don't like to listen. And that is the best weapon in the arsenal when it comes to young people.
Now that you make this point, you said something earlier that you can expand on in terms of Barbadians working together and, the possibilities of what we can build together if we work together. Do you feel as if volunteerism and being involved in these groups helps young people to see the bigger dream in terms of the ability to work together, but then also wider possibilities, not only, let's say, at a domestic level, but even on an international level?
I do. So volunteering had put me in a position where I went to Russia, and that was exciting, and I thoroughly
can
enjoyed
imagine.
that. And it took me to various places in the world to get
Through volunteerism
through volunteerism.
and unexpected.
Yep.
So these possibilities that you're speaking of, take us back to that time. Which
Russia?
organization you were volunteering with and how that came through, and
Okay. Russia was all with my. I applied. I saw it flash across, and it said there was an ad for it, and it said persons in NGOs are encouraged to apply. And at that time, it was my community group, which I'm the president of, and I was like, okay, why not?
Yeah.
Click, 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 clack. But after that, persons actually sit down and research you. So they would have then told me this, all the work I was doing in the community space and whatnot, and offer me a place to come to this conference of youth, a World Youth Festival.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sure. I've done things with the Regional Conference of Youth, and same thing in the NGO space, in the developmental space, in the climate space. You find yourself sometimes, even if you don't apply, people reach out.
Yeah, yeah.
You go with the Red Cross, there are trainings overseas that you find yourself on because you have been volunteering and working in a specific field, or you like this specific field, and they help develop the skill in that field, send you overseas. You find yourself on a global stage, and then networking again. You meet a lot of people from all different walks of life, and then you find yourself working somewhere abroad after you've volunteered with the Red Cross, or you've volunteered with an NGO, and the NGO went to China, and because of your skills and knowledge, they offer you a position over there. It works like that. It's not just that you're going to slave in the hot sun and get a bottle of water and a snack at the end of the day. It's what you make it. There's so many opportunities in volunteering in the NGO space that persons really should explore.
Fantastic work, Myrico. So it was more than, just seeing something come across your computer screen, but understanding that there's an element of selflessness as well, you would say?
Yes. And what you do in those forums is that when you do go there, you gather as much information as you possibly can and bring back to your island, bring back to your organization and say, hey, I learned this and I learned that. Take a look at this. This is a possibility. We never tried this. And it helps you to understand different ways to do different things. And again, builds that resilience, builds that capacity at your grassroots, district, and national level when you bring that information back.
For any young person watching the program as well, how can they get involved in any of the projects, any of the many projects that you're involved with?
Oh, God. You can, 1, Instagram, Myrico_official. 2, Facebook, Myrico Morris. 3, you can send me email, projects@greenraising.com or projects@greenraising.bb. Or outreach@greenraising.bb. You can get in contact with me, and I'll more than try to involve you in what we're doing, and also point you in a direction, especially if you need that institutional framework to be able to get what you need to do done.
All right. Well, thank you so very much for your time, Myrico. I know you probably have to run off
I do.
to another project, but thank you so much for joining us on One-on-One.
Thank you.
You've just heard directly from community advocate and youth capacity building consultant, Mr. Myrico Morris. On behalf of my producer and team, I'm Michonne Robinson. Until next time.